Joker. The mission is go.
We've had a while to process, and we still can't quite believe that Joker is in Smash. I mean, this guy's a part-time high school student and part-time Phantom Thief, and he's going to be going down against the Nintendo All-Stars. And his only Nintendo game is Persona Q2, which isn't even out worldwide. With that said, the more we thought about it, the more sense Joker makes. We spent the last 2 weeks refreshing our memory of Persona 5 to come up with the most iconic and natural moveset for Joker, and figuring out just how Sakurai and crew will represent the world of Persona. And man, does it have us excited. But we should probably preface first, the potential for Joker's moveset is pretty much unlimited. Unlike most Persona users who can only connect one specific Persona, Joker has the ability to use hundreds of others. I mean, there are literally over 200 in Persona 5, all with a handful of moves each. So to narrow it down, we've turned to the debut trailer, where we quite clearly see Joker with the Arson Persona. This also happens to be the very first Persona that Joker awakens to in the game. Now, we could frame his entire moveset around Arson, but that's not the point of Joker. He's a character who can juggle multiple personas at once, and is able to switch between them after every move, and that's kinda perfect for Smash. Joker could be like Pokemon Trainer and have entirely different movesets when changing persona, or each special move could correspond with a different persona. In the interest of balance, we've decided to go with the latter. Changing persona isn't quite as emphasized as changing an entire Pokemon after all, because no matter what persona you have, you're still controlling Joker. We're also going to take this line here rather literally.
Wait a second! You mean, you went alone?
Persona is by all means a game that revolves around social interactions, but we don't think any human party members will be joining Joker in Smash. He's pretty much alone here. Although, one character seems to be pretty in the know of it all. Morgana. Now, we said there won't be any human party members, but Morgana is pretty much a cat.
Don't call me a cat!
Hey, I said pretty much. So what can Morgana do? Well, Morgana has the Zoro persona, but that's not the route we want to explore with this move. We think Morgana should do what Morgana does best. Tell Joker to go to bed. When using down special, Morgana will hop out behind Joker and say something like, "You're looking tired, Joker, maybe it's time to get some rest," causing Joker to fall asleep for 2 seconds. But why should Joker sleep, and not the opponent? Well, in Persona, sleeping basically revitalizes Joker. He's able to do what he likes in the next day, and his HP and SP restore. And we're also thinking about Kirby here. If Morgana were Joker's standard special, this move would be useless to Kirby, as what use does Kirby have for refilling his MP if he can't use any spells? So in our idea for Joker, he'll have an SP bar just down by his icon, and using different personas will cause this bar to deplete, just like in the game. Morgana can refill this bar, but you'll fall asleep while doing so, which leaves you open for attacks. Now, in a recent video from Atlus, Sakurai actually mocked up Kirby using a Morgana hat, so wouldn't it make sense for Morgana to be the standard special? Well, we think this is exactly that, just a mock-up. All Kirby hats portray the character Kirby stole the ability from, and Morgana doesn't portray Joker, so Morgana is simply a down special. So what should the standard special be, and what should Kirby become? Well, how about a persona that's not only obtainable in Persona 5, but is somewhat the icon of Shin Megami Tensei, Jack Frost. But Kirby's still not becoming Jack Frost. Kirby would get Joker's mask, and Jack Frost would appear behind him whenever the move is used. And the same goes for Joker. It's just like in Persona 5. You're always controlling Joker, but personas lend you their powers. Though when Kirby's MP depletes, the hat just goes poof. No way of refilling it. So what move should Jack Frost use? Well, it probably makes sense for Jack Frost to have an ice move, which leaves us with Bufu and Mabufu, the former hitting one opponent and the latter hitting multiple. Now, I think this will work best as a chargeable move, where simply tapping it casts Bufu, which uses 4 SP, but holding it down for 2 seconds casts Mabufu. This uses 10 SP but reaches 3 times further. They deal the same damage though. Both of these will cause damage and knockback, but there's a random chance of freezing an opponent, just like in Persona 5. So we have Jack Frost set, so let's move on to the other persona we have locked in, being Arson. And we think Arson will work best as a side special. Now, Arson has some interesting moves. He could use Cleave, an attack that costs HP rather than SP, kinda similar to Charizard's Fire Blitz. But we don't want to undermine the SP management system we've put in place. So what are Arson's other choices? Well, there's Aya, a move that deals light curse damage to one foe, but that's not all too exciting. Instead, let's get a bit more playful. In the prologue of Persona 5, Arson knows a move called Aya Gun, an attack that deals heavy curse damage to one foe. It's actually impossible for Arson to learn this move through regular means, but it is possible for moves to carry over through Persona Fusion. And yes, that makes the pool of possibilities even larger, because technically most personas can learn most moves. But let's stick to what's essentially canon. So unlike Jack Frost with his long-range alternative, we're going to stick to the rules of Aya Gun and keep it short-range. Just like Aya, it hits one opponent at a time in Persona 5. We'll still play by the same rules as Bufu and Mabufu though. You can simply tap side special, which casts Ire, which uses up 4 SP, or you can get risky and charge it for 3 seconds, which casts Iregon, using a whopping 12 SP. So Ire is just a small wave of vertical light that appears in front of Joker, kinda similar to Palutena's up smash. Iregon though is much taller, perfect for edge guarding or juggling opponents, but it's also easy to predict due to its long build-up time. Joker's final special move is his recovery, and this one was kinda tricky to work with. We initially thought, what if Arsene just used his wings, but we don't believe that personas can grant this kind of power to persona users. Arsene can fly, but Joker can't. So let's tap more into the Phantom Thief. Joker's already quite an agile character and will have a rather impressive base jump, so we're going to gimp his recovery a bit and make it exclusively a tether one, using the same rope the Phantom Thieves use to infiltrate Marumade's museum. Think of it like Pikmin in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. When you're grounded, it's a long-range melee, but when you're in the air, it will tether to platforms. We also think it would be cool to incorporate Smash Ultimate's ladder mechanics on the rope, so Joker can climb up and down the rope and attack while doing so, something unique to him but already programmed into Smash Ultimate. So those are the specials. 2 personas with 4 different moves, all using up SP. Morgana who refills your SP but forces you to sleep by doing so, and a nice stealthy rope to recover with. But we've barely dived into what makes Joker himself distinct as a Phantom Thief, and one of those things is a gun. Now this isn't technically a real gun. In Persona 5, if a shadow believes a gun is real, it can fire bullets. So that's a nice way around the age rating, though that didn't stop Bayonetta. We think the gun will work best as a side smash, somewhat similar to Mega Man's Charge Blast, but with a much smaller hitbox. What makes the gun interesting though is most flying shadows in Persona 5 are weak to it, and we want to bring that into Smash by causing a meteor effect if the side smash makes contact with an aerial enemy. Now meteor effects generally only happen with aerial attacks, with a few exceptions like Link's down tilt. So yes, this could be a long-range, stationary meteor attack, but making contact is another thing entirely. Due to the size of the bullet, it's kinda hard to hit enemies unless they're standing still. You could even duck under it. So yeah, you could stand on the side of the stage and try and smash them down, but it would be very tricky to do so. For his down smash, Joker could dash forward like he does when he dives in and out of cover in Persona 5. This will cause damage to anyone it passes through, and if it makes contact with you, it will inflict knockback. Finally, there's Joker's up smash, which could be a simple thrust of his knife upwards. You've probably noticed we've only used 2 personas, and that's fully intentional. Joker's very distinct from the main characters of Persona 4 and Persona 3 in that he's very hands-on as a character. Finding a balance between his moves and those granted him from personas is rather interesting. We also want to keep the concept of SP management as accessible as possible, with those moves simply being on neutral special and side special. Personas could dominate every single one of Joker's hits, but then he'd no longer be Joker, he'll just be a generic Persona user. His aerial attacks can pull from cutscenes, or even the Persona 5 anime. His forward air could be the same jumping twirl we see as Joker flies out a window in the opening cutscene. We could even go as far as to pull from Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight, and have dance moves in his melee attacks, or at the very least feature them in taunts and victory poses. We imagine the majority of standard attacks revolving around Joker's knife, but there's a lot of fun they can have here. And speaking of fun, the trailer confirms that voice actors for Joker, Ryuji, Ann, Yosuke, and Morgana have reprised their roles for Smash Ultimate. And while we said Joker went alone with the exception of Morgana, we don't think that's actually the case. For starters, let's get the obvious one out of the way. The final smash. There's some fun things they could do, like have the Morgana mobile just run everyone over, but an all-out attack feels custom made for a final smash, especially the cinematic approach they've tried for Ultimate. We want Makoto in there, but we'll stick to what we know from the trailer, and have Joker, Ryuji, Ann, and Yosuke jump out to pummel the Nintendo characters. But let's not stop there. There's so much more they can do with the voice cast, given Persona games spend a lot of time on dialogue. And what better way to make use of these iconic voices than a unique Persona form of Snake's Codex or Palutena's Guidances. Each fighter pack comes with a fighter and a stage, and we'll dive into what the stage could be in just a sec. But when taunting as Joker on the Persona stage, characters from the game will pop out and start talking about the other fighters. And if they're evil, they'll even plan to infiltrate their palace and steal their heart. Now in terms of an actual stage, there's so much potential. We could have the streets of Tokyo with stylized humans flooding the streets, or we could have one of the game's many extravagant palaces. And we're picturing something kinda between the two. Persona games are all about mixing your everyday life in the real world with the darkness of the shadow world. So what we have in mind to represent Persona 5 is a travelling stage, one that swoops over the streets of Tokyo, and then we swoop down into Mementos, a dark subway full of shadows and maybe even trains that can zoom by and hit players. Mementos is essentially the recurring palace of Persona 5, and so if any Shadow Realm is to be represented as a stage, it's probably going to be this place, though we hope they focus on the lighter side of Persona as well. Joker may be armed to the teeth, but in the real world, he's just an ordinary school kid, talking to a cat. Joker has unlimited potential as a character, but we're pretty happy with the moves that we've landed on, and there's even some similarities to an existing character, being Robin, who can also charge up different spells. But what do you guys think? Is this similar to what you had in mind, or is it completely different? Let us know in the comments below, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for a lot more on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the DLC, and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye!